When you talk about the mob in Las Vegas in the 70s and 80s, it often centers around Midwestern outfits that were initially behind Frank Lefty Rosenthal, Tony Spilatro, and others. But not all the action involved those groups, and it wasn't all on the Strip. For the next couple of weeks, we're talking about Trouble in Paradise, specifically the Paradise Market Strip Mall that used to be at Flamingo in Paradise.
It's wonderful. It's marvelous.
Patrons of the Hungry Eye and Paradise Market could enjoy jazz and R&B standards from the likes of 60s pop singer Doris Troy and the marquee implied ownership by another popular lounge performer, Chris Fiorita. The owner of record, Jacqueline Resch, had been granted a liquor license with the stipulation that her father, known mob associate Eli Shapiro, never be allowed to set foot in the joint. Clark County Commissioner Manny Cortez signed off on the license, saying Resch couldn't help who she was related to, then later acted surprised when shady connections were brought to light.
It's difficult to make that determination until after the fact, until it comes to our attention, unless it's part of the initial investigation where somebody's putting up the money for someone else to be licensed.
Shapiro had secret interests in parts of other Paradise Market businesses. Gus Gallo's Deli, whose namesake was convicted of hiding gambling earnings, and the Crazy Horse Topless Club, which we'll focus on next week.
Hidden ownership is usually discovered after a sale is made or after a crime, like arson, has been committed.
Which is exactly what happened on January 3rd, 1984.
The Hungry Eye was $10,000 behind on its rent payments, behind on its insurance payments, and the restaurant's business checking account was about $10 overdrawn.
Shapiro was found guilty of insurance fraud. New owner Bart Rizzolo was rejected in an attempt to get a liquor license to reopen the Hungry Eye as Spats because of his association with Joseph Montaro, who had taken over next-door neighbor the Crazy Horse after the previous owner's head had been discovered, separate from his body, in the desert near Needles.
So clearly Topless had taken on a different meaning next door at the Crazy Horse, but that was just part of a larger foul play picture, which we'll explore in next week's Video Vault. Last week we talked about Trouble in Paradise Market, the strip mall that used to be at Flamingo in Paradise. But while that report focused on arson at the Hungry Eye nightclub, there were larger crimes in play, as News 3's Gwen Castaldi found out in 1981 when she was sent to Needles, California. That's where authorities were examining a gruesome discovery in the desert.
They found it to be the skull of a man between 30 and 50 years old, probably white. There was no sign of trauma, no stab wounds, no bullet holes.
Paradise Market owner Tony Albanese had gone missing some 3 weeks earlier. Dental records confirmed his death. While in Los Angeles, detectives and reporters were investigating the shooting of business owner Carlos Fandino.
He also had financial interests in Las Vegas, where he operated concessions at Circus. It was here, we are told, that Fandino had meetings with another man, Jerome Ferrula, known con man, enforcer, loan shark, gambler, and seller of stolen property.
Ferrula's body had been found wrapped in a bag off Pecos Road.
There's a possibility that all three of these individuals may somehow have had some connection.
Ferrula's wife, Carmela, had not asked a lot of questions about his business, but she had her suspicions.
Because I know the people that he, I don't know them personally, but I just know the people he associated with. They were always jealous of Jerry. Everyone I knew was always jealous of him.
There is always a possibility that it was a robbery. However, at this point, the way that he was dumped out in the desert just doesn't appear to be that of a robbery.
It appeared as though somebody left him there to be discovered.
That's what it would appear to us, yes.
One informed law enforcement source says authorities are considering the possibility of a group-to-group territorial mob fight over various businesses or associates which operate out of Los Angeles and/or Las Vegas.
Bringing us back to Paradise Market and the Crazy Horse, now run by mob associates Joseph Montero and Joseph Balzano.
Montero was listed as the owner of the Topless Saloon, but Balzano says he and others were really in charge.
Well, 3 small-time mobsters were charged with the death of Ferrula. The other 2 murders never were solved and soon were overshadowed by the FBI and Metro war against the Midwestern mob on the Strip. By the time the Paradise Market and the Crazy Horse were torn down, a new establishment, the Crazy Horse 2, had opened on Industrial Road, operated by father and son Bart and Rick Rizzolo, setting the stage for another set of crimes stretching into more recent times.